Hello everyone, welcome back to the Down Under Bunker here in Sydney, Australia. Today I'm going to be playing a quick solo game of Axis and Allies 1914. Today we're going to be playing with the Russian Revolution rule, so the Germans and Austrians will probably go straight away for the Russians and try and knock them out of the game, and then turn west and try to take out the Italians and the French. Should be an interesting game. My plan for the Triple Entente is to be a bit more aggressive than usual, because usually in my games I find that the Central Powers win most of the time, so I know that other people usually find that the Triple Entente win most of the time, but anyway, games can be different for different people, so we'll see what happens after round one and see if the Austrian-Hungarians can get off to a good start. End of round one here in the Down Under Bunker, and it's been a pretty typical one. Not much has happened that doesn't normally happen. But let's run you through the rounds, starting in the Middle East here. The British came into Persia and got 0 hits out of all of those troops, which has kind of set them back a little bit, but they'll push forward. The Ottoman, because of that, has just left some troops there and sent not as many troops as usual forward. Tried to come out and take Arabia from the British, who had sent a man across to get the dollar and a couple of troops that were there, and couldn't do that, got only 2 hits from there. The British held back from attacking Transjordan, so Ottoman just sending more troops down that way, while building some more men and artillery and sending up stuff to Bulgaria. In Africa, the Italians just sending stuff across to Egypt, and the Germans spread out across the middle of Africa and just took as many dollars as they could, taking Belgium Congo as well, but then the British took that back. Lost the artillery in a battle there. The French are on their way to reclaim some lost territory as well, bringing the 2 transports down, which is interesting, I guess. Usually bring only 1, but I guess they want to clean this up as quick as possible. Taking Portugal, and the German Navy has done well this round. They took out the British Navy that was there with only losing 2 subs and a damage to the battleship. They came and destroyed the cruiser and transport that were in Sea Zone 2 with 2 submarines left, so the French dispatched those to the bottom of the ocean. On the mainland, the Germans punched into Belgium with everything they had, and the French countered by just building as much stuff as they could in Picardy and Lorraine, while building more infantry. The British just building up their navy again, backed up by the French. The Austro-Hungarians decided not to attack Venice's turn, giving the Italians a turn to build up and just put as many units to the front line as possible. They probably have about 20 troops in Venice now, which is not a good start for the Austro-Hungarians. Although they did take Romania and Serbia in the first round, so that was a good thing for them, getting a few more dollars, building a plane and just bringing lots of stuff to the border with Russia. The Russians building up in Ukraine and Poland, just stacking as many things as they could in there. Building 2 planes instead of just 1. They wanted to attract as many planes as they could from the Germans and Austro-Hungarians. And it seemed to work, because the Germans built 3 planes this time, which is not very usual, but they did it because the Russians had built 2, sending across all the men they could to Russia, just try take them out as quickly as possible. Sending limited stuff back into France, so French and British, if the British can get troops across, might be able to just push back a little, putting the Germans under enormous stress. Find out after round 2. End of round 2 here in the Down Under Bunker, and it's been another good round. Dice have been hot, lots of casualties this round. So let's start with the Austro-Hungarians, and they've pushed into Venice with all that they could, and pretty even rolls on both sides, but then the Italians on their turn had brought the stuff from Tuscany in and didn't attack, so they're looking good there. The Austro-Hungarians also pushed into Ukraine with all of that. The Russians didn't have good rolls, but they just reinforced the Ukraine with stuff from Moscow. The Russians also just put a man in Galicia from Poland. They were considering bringing everything down to put pressure on Vienna, but then the Germans probably would have just contested the territory and then pushed into Poland, and would have been curtains for them. But it probably still is, because Germans have all that stuff in Poland, and that's not going anywhere quickly. They will probably take Moscow or force the revolution to happen straight away. Not a good start for the Triple Entente. On the Western Front though, it's looking up for the Entente, and Germans had pushed everything into Lorraine from Alsace and some stuff from Belgium, and had really good rolls there. But then the French decided to bring everything they had from Picardy, bring it down, and they absolutely wrecked the Germans after that. So the Germans didn't win the air battle, and then after that it was just hits for the French and not for the Germans. Germans lost 3 fighters this turn, 1 in Lorraine and 2 in Poland, so the Russian Air Force did well. French building another fighter, so now they can have 1 in Belgium and Lorraine probably. The British and French they've got their fleet together, and the British built some transports there to start bringing guys over. Down in Africa, the French have taken out a few German units, and the British are just expanding as well. The Italians helping out as well. In the Middle East, the Ottomans have taken Arabia from the British, and the British have taken Persia. The Ottomans are just building up troops to go on both fronts. The Russians came and took out the Ottoman cruiser that was there, who had previously taken out a British cruiser. The Americans, they're just saving their money. They're up to $60 now, so they'll probably spend that next turn. Well, it's been a good game so far, and I'm not sure who's really winning. It's pretty even, so we'll see you after round 3. Can the Russians survive for a little bit longer? Just about to start round 4, and the game is still in the balance. No one is taking control yet. Start here with the Ottoman, and they've had a great round again, bringing lots of stuff over to Mesopotamia. 15 infantry there now, 4 artillery, and even took Sevastopol. So lots of stuff can hit Persia. So the British have been put under pressure and have to build stuff in India. Quick note as well, we're playing out of box rules, so the British can place as many units as they like in India, so they'll do that, I'm sure. The Ottoman are now collecting $23, which is quite a lot for them in this game. The Entente have managed to take Africa, cleaning up the rest of the Germans. French using the transport to take 2 more territories. Italians coming down and taking 1 as well. The Americans have spent $60 and they've bought 7 transports and a few dudes to start bringing guys across to Europe and Italy and stuff. The Italians have just bought more units, bringing them up to Venice and trying to hold as long as possible. They might think about an offensive run soon. The Austrians have not got much stuff there. Although the Austrians are doing very well in Russia, they'll probably take Ukraine, you would imagine. And if the Germans manage to take Livonia and Belarus, then the Russian Revolution could happen, so that will be interesting if that does happen. On the Western Front, things are looking up for the Entente. The French took Lorraine back, and now the British are coming over. And the Germans don't have that much reinforcements coming over next turn, so they might have to think about getting out of Belgium to protect Alsace, because if that comes in, then that will take a while to get out. The British just building more transports and getting stuff ready to take over to mainland Europe to hopefully get an offensive ready. The Germans just building some fighters after their loss last turn and taking Poland. That's about it in this game. So it's pretty even. This next round will be interesting to see if the Russian Revolution can happen or what the Germans do on the Western Front. Find out right after this. Into round 4 now, and I think the game is finally swinging towards the Entente side, and they're probably just ahead, but not really by much. So I'll take you through the round. The Americans got into the war and just took Spanish Morocco straight away without losing a man. Building some more units just to put on transports next turn, and, well, 2 turns away, but putting them over as well. The French just bringing up troops from Africa. And the French also pushing forward into Belgium, and the Germans now looking not so good after all. The British now have 10 troops there maybe, and that's just not good for the Germans. They probably can't compete with the British and French, so they're going to have to try something. They actually built a tank, the only tank in the game so far. The Germans also took Belarus, leaving some troops behind in Poland in case the Russians wanted to sneak in there. Austro-Hungarians couldn't take Ukraine, just a few units left there that they couldn't do. So next turn, Ottomans came up and took that, and also they tried to take Persia but had terrible rolls. Maybe they got 4 hits and the British got 15 hits back maybe. It was not good rolling for the Ottoman. Bringing across more troops of course to reinforce that, but the British also building lots more troops as well, including a fighter, so that's going to hurt. Reinforcing Transjordan with a few more units to maybe threaten Egypt. You never know, the Ottoman could get some money through there. The Italians went on the offensive and took out lots of artillery, which is hurting the Austro-Hungarians, but they've got more on the way. The Russian Revolution will probably happen this next turn, with Ukraine falling, and then Russia might take back Tajikistan, but but then if they do that, then the Germans might take Moscow, so the Russians might in fact just decide to let the revolution happen so that the Central Powers don't have another capital. But it's not looking good for the Central Powers, especially Germany right now. So we'll find out what happens after round 5. See you then. It's the end of round 5 and it's been a hectic round this one. Lots and lots of action and lots of fun. So I'll take you what happened this round. The Austro-Hungarians have been kicked out of Venice by the Italians. They didn't have the best of rolls going in there, and then the Italians came back and just pushed them out on their turn. Although they did get to take Ukraine from the Russians were going to have the revolution, but then they came and took out the Ottoman infantry that was there, and so that didn't happen. But then the Germans came in and attacked Moscow, and well, you can see the result of that. If the Austro-Hungarians come in and destroy that, then no revolution, and the Central Powers have one capital city already, which is not good for the Entente. The Germans went into Belgium with everything they had, probably over 30-40 troops in total, absolutely destroyed the French, but the French went into Belgium with everything they had and destroyed the Germans. So French got lots and lots of artillery there, a couple planes, not many infantry, but they got some coming, and they're just probably going to take out the rest of the Germans, and the Germans will be in trouble then. The French also just stuck a guy in Alsace to get that money. The Americans started bringing across troops and got them into Egypt, ready for an assault on Transjordan, and also buying 3 transports and another dude, just getting ready to get more guys across. The Ottoman have had a not so great round, no combat for them this round, but the British did destroy them in Persia. The British also didn't build as much stuff as last time in India, so the Ottoman might be able to take advantage of that and just push back a little bit, or even just hold the line while they look elsewhere. The British still keeping their guys in Egypt, maybe to help the Americans there. British also just building more units in London, sending them across to Picardy, also taking a few guys, a couple artillery from Canada this turn on a transport. That's the end of that round, so see what happens after round 6. Will Moscow fall, or will the revolution happen? Find out after this. End of round 6, start of round 7 here in the Down Under bunker in this game of 1914. And the game is probably swinging towards the Entente side. There's just a few moments in the round that have probably lent it that way, but we'll take you through what happened. The Ottoman are in serious trouble now. The British and American came into Transjordan, and you can see the result of that. And the Americans still have 8 infantry and 2 artillery, and there's more on the way as well with all of that, and building more units. So it's not looking good for the Ottoman. And also the British came in and took Mesopotamia, pretty much hitting, well, almost hitting on every single dice. Quite amazing rolling, and just building a few more units down there. The Ottoman now have only collecting $16, and that will probably diminish as well once they lose Arabia and Syrian Desert and Ankara probably, and Transjordan will fall as well. So that's not looking good for them. Although Moscow did fall to the Austro-Hungarians this turn, and the Germans are now just cleaning up some cash up north and coming down south as well. The Russians, with their 2 troops left, came and took Sevastopol back, just to take more money away from the Ottoman. The Austro-Hungarians now did not attack into Venice. The Italians just have so many troops there, and the Italians might consider building a plane soon, just because they have 10 artillery and the plane could really boost their hits. On the Western Front, the French pushed into Belgium and destroyed that small German army, and now they'll probably continue onwards because Germans don't really have much when you compare it to all of that, and French are now making $32 a turn, which is a lot for them. The British just backed them up in Lorraine and building more troops in London. And that's about it for this round. So, see you after round 7. Thanks for still watching, and the game has still got a lot to go. See if the Germans can somehow push back on the Western Front. It's the end of round 7 here in the Down Under bunker, and things are now looking quite good for the Entente in this game. So we'll start down here, and the Ottoman continue to be squeezed back to Constantinople, still holding on to Arabia, but that will probably fall in a couple turns or so. The good thing for them is the Germans have come down, and the Austro-Hungarians are also bringing support, but I don't know if it will be enough because the Americans just keep on bringing over units now, and the British also have quite the force there. The Austro-Hungarians have $56 to spend this turn, and that's what they bought, so that will all be heading towards Italy. So it's not looking good for Italy right now, but they could get some support from the Americans, who are just building up some more units there to ship across to Ottoman Empire or Italy. The French came into Alsace and put a whole stack of units there, and put a whole stack of units in Belgium as well, just continuing to build men and artillery. Germans just put everything in the Ruhr and continue to bring up lots of men and artillery and a few tanks along the way as well. The Russians are gone. They got a couple hits in Sevastopol, taking out 2 German artillery that were there. British just bringing up more troops there. The navies, Russia just moved their cruiser up to 7. Probably soon try to take out the German navy so they can start landing troops in Netherlands and Denmark and Kiel maybe. The Germans just taking Finland, getting extra $2 for that. So Russia's pretty much all taken, just 1 territory left down there. British building more units in India, keeping a steady flow into the Ottoman, and together with the Americans they'll probably take them out soon. So find out after round 8 if the Ottoman can hold on for a little bit longer, or will the Entente just roll over them. It's the end of round 8 and the Ottoman are not long for this game. They've not got much cash flowing in and don't have that many units. So we'll take you through what happened this round. And the Ottoman have obviously turtled, and British and Americans came and took those 2 territories and ready to start attacking Constantinople with all that they can. Americans even using their transports to get the stuff from Egypt into Smyrna. The Ottomans came out of Arabia and came and attacked Syrian desert but didn't get 1 hit, and the British guy didn't get a hit back either. So it's the same as it was. The Germans came into Mesopotamia, not much there. The Austro-Hungarians just coming down and then sending men to take Kazakhstan, and Germans also bringing a few stuff down. The British now building more units down here, considering that they've almost won down here. The Americans bringing lots and lots of troops over, building lots more back in the mainland as well. The Italians aren't doing so well. They've got $15 and just holding on. Americans might have to come save them, because the Austro-Hungarians are not slowing down. Nor are the French and British. They've pushed into Germany proper now. The British took the Ruhr and the French Alsace, and the Germans just can't defend against all of that. The French also came and took out the German navy that was there, so now they can start making landings in Kiel and Holland probably. And the French sending stuff down to Piedmont next turn probably. And the British also bring stuff across from Canada. So the game is definitely in favour of the Entente right now. But find out what happens after round 9. If the Germans can hold on, and can the Ottomans hold on as well. The rain is pouring down outside, but the British are pouring down the hits on the Germans currently. The Germans halfway through the round made a desperate attack into the Ruhr to try and hold the British up there. And they got a good amount of hits, but then you come over to down here and you see what the British infantry have rolled. And that is 9 hits out of 9 rolls, all at 3 or less. Cannot make this stuff up. Absolutely ridiculous. So see how this impacts the Germans right after this. Well, it's the end of round 9, and it's also the end of the Ottoman Empire. They cease to exist now, with the British coming in and dealing lots of damage and the Americans cleaning it all up. So the Americans now collecting all the cash, so they're up to $34 now. The Ottoman do have this small force here, but that will quickly go. Germans and Austro-Hungarians have come in and tried to save them, but I don't think they can do anything. British taking advantage of the out-of-box rules, spending all their money down here to just try get rid of that Austro-Hungarian force and protect India. Over in Italy, the Italians are looking pretty safe now. The French came and backed them up, and now the Americans have as well. And Austro-Hungarians also probably need to protect the Germans here, because the French and British are pushing forward quite quickly. The French just sending their battleships back to get repaired. The Americans bringing over more stuff, building more transports, more units. The Canadians also just getting shipped over slowly. The Austro-Hungarians are earning about $50 a turn now, so it's quite a lot, but I don't think it'll be enough to hold off the Americans, Italians, and a bit of French as well, while supporting the Germans. The British haven't built anything in London this turn. As I said, building everything in India. The French earning $36, so that's lots of infantry, lots of artillery heading the Germans' way. Can the Germans survive much longer? I don't know. Maybe 5 rounds or so, but if it gets to a point where the Entente are guaranteed to win, then probably call the game there. Well, that's the end of that round, so see you after round 10 and see if the Austro-Hungarians can somehow take Rome and then advance into France. So it's the end of round 10 and I think we're going to call the game now. The Entente are going to be the winners in this game. They've just pushed the Central Powers back this turn quite a lot, and the Central Powers won't have enough cash and money to just get back at them. Take you through what happened in the round though. The Austro-Hungarians moved everything into Tuscany to try next turn to take Rome, but the Americans came in and did some damage there. French just coming around the top, so that force would die next turn for sure, and then after that it's not looking good for them. Down here the British will probably clean up in a couple turns, and the Italians are there as well, building more units, and then they'll probably just move up into Russia and take that out. And you might just think, well, the Austro-Hungarians and Germans can send stuff that way, but if they do that, then less stuff on this front, and that's probably game over for them anyway. The Americans are building lots and lots of units, and the French just earning $36 a turn now. It's just too much for them and for the Germans to handle. British now just bringing in lots of units a turn into there, and the Italians are still getting a steady income as well. The odd men are obviously out, and British are just, dominating down there. So thanks for watching everyone, and it's been an interesting game. For once the Entente winning one of my games, and a bit different. I think the Central Powers had a good start by taking out Russia, but then they might have sent a bit too much stuff that way, and then the French and British especially could just push into Germany and make Germany suffer. You can see that the Austro-Hungarians had pushed in there just to try save them, but then the French almost took them out, and the Germans don't have much left. And the French just have reinforcements coming and all of that. So, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Signing off for now.